Hello there, this is a talk for Richmond College and my name is Mark Cousins and I'm the Programme Director for the Sport and Exercise Science degree at St Mary's University and I've been asked to make a sort of short recording for you to give you an idea of what sport and exercise science is and to tell you about what sport and exercise science is like at St Mary's University. So the sorts of things you can expect, where we're located, you know, the sorts of things that you might do, what the degree's like, assessment, teaching. So I'm going to spend about 20 minutes and I'm going to talk through all of these sections. If you do have any questions, my email address is sort of plotted on a couple of slides as we go through, but equally at the end I'll remind you again of my email address so you can ask me any questions. So to start with, this is where we are. We're in Strawberry Hill. We're nestled in between Teddington and Twickenham. And if you're local, then you'll be familiar with the area. And if I just use my cursor a little bit, you'll know that Richmond College is based in this direction, the other side of Ham Park up here behind this blue banner, and Teddington is down below us. So you've got the Strawberry Hill train line and train station to the left of the picture. And then you've got this big campus here, and this is us. We're a good mixture of the traditional, so you can see there's some sort of old buildings around Strawberry Hill House, and also the modern. So you can see here, that's the Mo Farah running track, and you can see some sports pitches and those sorts of things. And if I add some red dots on there, two things to sort of point out for sport and exercise scientists. This here holds, the left-hand red dot holds the physiology labs and a lot of the offices and lots of the areas that you use. And then the right-hand side, this is in Sports St Mary's, and this is where it's the biomechanics lab, the performance education centre, the environmental chamber for physiologists, and in general, that is Sports St Mary's. So you can see that sport is definitely a massive focus of the university, and one of our big draws for students is to come and play sport at St Mary's and to come and study sport at St Mary's. Now, what is sports science? Traditionally, it's the application of scientific principles to sports performance. And the way you can look at it is look at it from almost two different angles. We can look at it from a performance angle, and we can always sort of dream of working with elite athletes and elite teams and trying to squeeze everything out of sports performance. But you can also look at it from, I suppose, a public health perspective. So you can look at it as exercise, and it might be somebody who is a non-elite athlete, or it could be somebody who is sedentary in their behavior and they're looking to change how their body reacts to exercise. And so we've got a sort of health perspective as well that we're looking at. So you can see that there's sort of different ways to look at sports science. And I suppose one of the ways of looking at it is, how does the body respond to exercise, and how does that knowledge help us help other people? Now, if we took an example here, and I sort of used a case study of a triathlon, just because at the moment the World Series is going on over in Japan and Yokohama, and you've got the Brownlees, obviously, that have been doing it for quite a while for the UK. But you've also got up and coming athletes like Alex Yee and things like that. I think he came fourth last week in one of the trials. So you can see that triathlon is a massive sport. It's a massive growing sport. And what we've done here is we've broken it down into three areas, and that's psychology, physiology, and biomechanics. And what you can take is you can take these three areas almost as the cornerstones of sports science and say, actually, this is what sports science is all about, these three things. Now, all of this is underpinned by research, and then you've always got extra bits of sports science that are attached to it as well. But if we take these three as the main things, you can see why in sports science we've got psychological interventions or strategies or skills that will actually help athletes. So I'm hoping in your current studies, or just in your general current knowledge, you'll be aware of psychological interventions, things like goal setting or self-talk, might be imagery or emotional control, automaticity, activation, relaxation techniques. All of these are psychological intervention that can help performance on competition days. Now, the physiological side of things, it might be that we'll look at some very low level data, so just how the body responds to exercise, all the way up to high level stuff. So I mentioned earlier we had an environmental chamber, and so it could be studying how the body reacts in different environments. It could be heat, it could be humidity, it could be cold. All those sorts of things have an effect on how the body reacts to exercise. So we look at things like training principles, things like overload, periodization. You know, there's old-fashioned principles like the specific adaptation to impose demands on the body. We can measure, we can measure, we can measure sort of gases. So we can look at things like VO2. We can look at bloods. So we can look at lactates, and from there we can measure things like lactate thresholds or lactate turning points. And all of this can help us train athletes and help us understand how athletes perform, ultimately to improve and to be the best. And then biomechanically as well, we can look at the body and we can sort of join in things like neuromechanics, and so how the nervous system and the mechanical system work together. So we can look at things like forces. So we can look at things like isokinetics, you know, how much force can we produce? How quickly can we produce that force? And all of these things will help us understand. We can look at things like fluid dynamics if we were looking at triathlon. So there's obviously a swim component, but there's also a bike component. So we can look at air dynamics as well, the positioning on the bike. And we can look at things as well that are more performance analysis. So we can look at things like technique, or we can look at movements. And all of these three things sort of combine together to give us a really good understanding of that triathlete. And we use this example because it's a really good example of what sports science is, bringing it all together. Now, at St Mary's, our degree is particularly distinctive, and we're really proud because we've got a very big sports science degree, a lot of students who have a great time studying sports science on the Strawberry Hill campus. Now, I'm not going to go through all of these, but you can see how we're quite unique. And one of the ways that we're unique is that because we're such a big faculty, a big department, and a big course, we can draw on lots of expertise and lots of facilities from lots of areas. So it might be that we'll draw in from the sports nutrition team or the sports rehab team, or from the psychologists, and we can put together lots of modules to give you lots of choices. I'm going to show you the modules in a second to give you a bit more detail. But within the modules, you'll also have a wide range of assessments and a lot of practical assessments in there as well. It might be a Viva assessment, so spoken word, or it might be practical assessments that you have. But all of these will help you not only study sports science, but actually put it into a practical setting. And that's what's really important, because you'll want to work as a sports scientist when you finish. A couple of key things as well to point out is that we're BASES accredited, British Association of Sport and Exercise Scientists. So if you want to go on, for example, and be a physiologist, then you'll need to be on a BASES accredited course. We have links with professional organisations. This is particularly helpful when you're thinking of perhaps taking a placement module with our work placement team. We've got opportunities to study abroad, particularly if you've already got some links over to other institutions that are doing sports science. And then, like I said all along, we've got great facilities that we've built up over the last few years. So if you do get an opportunity, we're hoping to come back onto campus in July with some open days. So get on the St Mary's website, come down and have a look and see all of this in practice. Now, I said to you I would show you the modules, and here they all are. First of all, you can see at the top there, you've got 4 words: psychology, physiology, biomechanics, and research. And I said to you that the first 3 were the cornerstones of sports science, and that research underpins everything we do. It's really important that when we finish our sports science degrees, we're actually evidence-based practitioners. So we're able to read the research to make sure that our knowledge is up to date. It's also really important that we're able to do research as well. So it might be that you'll sort of bounce on and do careers in masters and PhDs. You might become a full-time researcher. So the research is really core as well through the program. And this gives you a sense of how this program isn't just sports and running around tracks and kicking rugby balls. It's actually the scientific principles behind everything. And you can read for yourself there what the modules are called, but you can see how it allows you to choose your degree. It might be that you want to really go into the biomechanics side of things, or it might allow you to sort of drop one element and concentrate on two others, and we'll guide you through that while you're on the course. On the left-hand side, you can see here, these are, in the first year, they're all core modules, but in the second and third year, these are option modules. So this gives you an opportunity to just have a look at what you want to study. It might be that you've got a career in mind, and if you think, I definitely want to do a sports science degree, go on and do PE teaching, then there's a couple of modules there from our PE department that you can take. It might be that you've got some work-based learning that you want to do and set up, and so you can take these couple of modules. Or it might be that you've got a particular desire to study sports performance. So then you have notational analysis and performance analysis as well. So again, it gives you that flexibility to choose how you want your degree to look. Now, where do we go? I suppose it links back to what I said right at the start. You might want to be on the performance side, which means that you'll go for something like a sport and exercise scientist, or it might be that you want to look at the health side. Now, the health side, the well-being, the education, the health promotion, they're going to be a few more jobs out there, I suppose. Sport and exercise scientists, particularly at elite level, it's very competitive, so there's going to be fewer jobs out there. But you can see there the sorts of places that our graduates go. And if you're interested in where our graduates are, here are some of our graduates. So you can see, Manchester City, you've got Richard Burden, who in fact still does a little bit of lecturing on the programme at the moment, who's the head of physiology at the EIS. And, I'm sure that most of you would have come across Joe Wicks as well, who came and did a sports science degree at St Mary's a couple of years ago, a local guy as well. So you can see how there's not one particular direction of travel and saying, right, this is your definite job. It actually is broad enough to encompass lots of things and has the flexibility to allow you to study in different places. Now, the entry criteria is the standard St Mary's entry criteria. So again, it's on the screen, 96 to 112 UCAS points. Roughly translated, it means all C's in your A-levels, or if you're doing a BTEC, to get an overall minimum of a merit profile. If you don't quite meet those, then give us a shout around clearing time, which this year starts, I think it's Thursday, the 12th of August. And it could be that we could offer you a place depending on your experience or your desire to be on the programme. Or it could also be that we'll offer you a foundation year, which is a year zero, gives you an opportunity to build academic confidence before starting the sports science degree or the guaranteed place the following September. Now, particularly if you're from Richmond College, if you want to make an inquiry, if you follow that link in black there, it will take you to this, and that means that your inquiry will get straight through to us and we can get straight back to you. But like I said to you, I'm quite happy to receive emails, and there's my contact email address, as I said at the start. I have got a little bit of annual leave over the summer, so you might get an auto response. But if I'm about, I will always respond. And I'm also happy to meet up on campus if you particularly want any questions or a personal tour about the, about sports science or about the university. I hope that's been really helpful for you. Thank you for listening. I hope the rest of your studies goes well at Richmond College, and hopefully we'll be seeing you soon at St Mary's.